Okay, we are recording on the Roadcaster for the first time. How exciting!
Exciting.
So, thank you so much for jumping on for our birth story, Bianca.
Thank you so much for having me.
My absolute pleasure. My absolute pleasure. So, you came and started yoga with me at, how many weeks were you then?
I think I was maybe 30 weeks or a little bit before, maybe like 28, 29 weeks.
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yes.
And then you were so diligent with your yoga and Pilates, and you had your most amazing birth experience,
Yes.
and then having come to Mums and Bubs.
Yeah, so amazing.
Yeah, incredible. So I would love to hear from the start, like I guess even conception, all that sort of stuff, if it's relevant, your birth story.
Okay, well, gosh, feels like years ago since we've started the whole conception story. Like we started trying back in 2019, and the first time we fell pregnant 3 months in, so like we were really excited with that. We thought, great, this hasn't taken that long, but we had a miscarriage with the first one, so that was about 6 weeks in, which was like devastating.
Yeah.
First one was really hard to like process.
Fair.
I think you just don't expect it, everyone around you is having babies, so you just go, oh, we'll be fine, like that doesn't happen, like I have to have the people and that. So that was a bit, crazy.
That would have been upsetting.
Yeah, it was, definitely. And then we jumped straight back into trying again, but it took us another year to fall pregnant.
Wow.
Yeah, which was hard. That was really harder than the miscarriage, because you just think, okay, each month it's just like another month, and it just, you're not drinking because you might be pregnant, you're not eating things because you're trying to fall pregnant, and it's just like all consuming. Yeah. Really consuming. So then we fell pregnant again at the exact same time that we fell pregnant the first time. So it's just like the switch, and like when we lost that one as well, so that one's again another miscarriage, and at that point I was like, oh my god, are we ever going to have a baby? And you just start thinking, maybe we're going to be those people that just don't get to have children, and like we have always wanted kids. Like I just always saw my future having lots of kids, so you really take it all on, and like your friends will start having babies, and you're like, and then their second babies, and you think, absolutely, like everyone's so fertile and we're not, and you're like, why? And like my mum fell pregnant for both my sister and I first month, and so you think, well, I'm going to be the same. But it wasn't that case for us. So we lost the second one, and then again we didn't fall pregnant until the following year, the same time.
So wild.
So like I'm like, well, the next time I'm only going to try in that month.
Absolutely.
It must be the way it was. I think we fall pregnant like that June, July time.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
I wonder why that would be.
I don't know, and like all had the similar due date.
Wow.
So it's really weird, bit woo-woo.
That's strange. I've not heard of that before.
I know. Yeah, so we fell pregnant with Bobby. It was a bit of a crazy start because my sister got sick and unfortunately passed away, and we found out we were pregnant like the week after she passed away. So it was very bittersweet. Yeah. But we did really think it was we do think it's a gift from her.
Absolutely.
And that really kept us going, because after losing two, I think after losing one, your anxiety during pregnancy is rough.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I was just like every week, no, I'm not going to be pregnant. Like, this is going to end. You go to the toilet and you're just checking every time for blood.
Like it's awful.
Just, and then they're moving, but they're not moving enough. And then like, this is not right. So, I mean, we did get excited, and like as long as, it progressed, you get more excited. But I don't think until she was here that I actually thought I'm going to be a mum.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that would have been awful.
It's tough. Yeah. I think once you've been through that, it's hard to change your mindset.
Fair.
Yeah. So so we fell pregnant with her.
Amazing. Okay, cool. Did you do anything through that trying to fall pregnant period to change your fertility, or did you experience much with that?
Yeah, so look, I went through acupuncture, tried that, and then we even went and saw a fertility specialist just to get like all our levels checked, my husband checked. We did 2 rounds of an IUI. Do you want me to explain? So basically, like they put the sperm inside of me, and they check when I'm ovulating, and it's like a timed situation. But the odds of that working is actually not very good.
Yeah.
Because it's not like you're getting injections to, so we had to do some like injections to ovulate and things like that, which weren't like that tough. Like it was only one, so it was not too bad. They didn't work, and it's expensive, so you just think, let's just go to IVF because it's not working. But we were going to have do a laparoscopy just to check that I didn't have endo, but then we fell pregnant, so we didn't have to do any of that. So we were very lucky, because that can be very. I can't imagine how crazy it would be having to go down the IVF route. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
I actually didn't realize any of that, to be honest, with your fertility journey when you started with me.
So
Interesting. So you finally fell pregnant. You were living in Brisbane at the time.
Yes, we were living in Brisbane.
And how did that go down and with your move up here?
So I knew we were going to move home because we're from the Sunshine Coast and my family are all here, and I knew that I wanted to have my family around me. So I had to finish the year out, and we knew that we were going to go through SCUH. So I put my referral in for SCUH, and I was really lucky to get into the MGP program, which was just amazing and really special because the two midwives were also my sister's midwives when she was pregnant. So it was really lovely, and they were very excited to have me there as well. So I started doing some Pilates in Brisbane with a physio there, which was really great. And then I saw your classes online. You were starting up in January, the new set of classes for pregnancy, and I was like, this sounds amazing, I really want to get involved. And then so I moved to the coast in December, and then I think we started in January.
I think so too.
Which is great. So
good.
So I was feeling pretty good the whole way through. I didn't get much morning sickness, just for the first few weeks. But then everything else just sort of was really smooth. And it was really cruisy.
Fantastic. Okay, so then as you went through your pregnancy, how did kind of the labour-ish stuff starting? So even the spurious labour or?
So I think I started getting Braxton Hicks around 23 weeks.
You did too, actually.
I remember being at home one week and I was like, that's a weird tightening. And I wasn't worried because I knew that was something that could happen. And then it would happen often, but not really too bad. And then as I got to my third trimester, they just kept getting stronger and stronger. I'd go walking and I'd just stop because it was just my stomach would just go rock hard. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then as it got further along, at night time I'd have them every, probably 3 or 4 a night, and it would make me need to go to the toilet and just wee because I thought that was why I was getting them. And so I'd get up and you can't move properly, and it was just so painful. So I was 38 weeks, just 38 weeks that weekend, and I remember I went to the toilet and I noticed a bit of my mucus plug had come away, and it was okay, it wasn't a lot, and I thought I'm not going to get excited because people can lose their mucus plug quite early, and it just over time. And I remember my mum was speaking to another midwife she knows, and he was like, I reckon it could be this week. And I was like, oh my gosh, maybe. And I remember coming to your class on the Sunday, and I was like, Amy, I got lost a little bit, and you're like, maybe I won't see you at Pilates on Tuesday. We'll see. I was like, oh, well, I probably will be. Nothing had happened. But on the Monday, I remember that night, I was just getting really bad Braxton Hicks. But nothing too crazy. And then at 5 o'clock, I woke up and I had one. I was about to go to the toilet. And as it was happening, I felt liquid come out. And I was like, oh my God. And I knew I had to weed myself because I didn't have any of that throughout my whole pregnancy. And I was like, oh my gosh, I think my waters are breaking. And I was so excited. And I was get up and got my postpartum panties on. I was like, yes, tick that off my list.
Use it, nice.
Use it.
Yep.
And I was like, Aiden, because my husband was driving to Brisbane at that time still, so he was driving back and forward, and he was getting ready to go to work. And I'm like, no, you can't go to work. We're having a baby. And he's madly on the computer, sending emails. He's about to do a presentation.
Oh,
he was like, okay, I'll quickly do that. And so I had my whole, what I wanted to do in early early labour, like I knew don't time contractions, and
Yes.
I kept thinking about like all the breath work that we had been doing, because like in our classes, you know, all the mock contractions, which
Yes.
are awful, but really worse, I think, than actual mock contractions. I still can't do that. And I remember like the breath of like, I can't even remember what the name it was, but like the, I think it's a count of 6 in and then you exhale for 8.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I loved that one. I liked the counting of it.
Yeah.
So I was sitting on like my birth ball and I had like the office on and like our room was just dark and really
Yes.
wanted to keep it like simple and calm, and I got my TENS machine and
Perfect.
it was just like a really like easy going, and so that was at 5 o'clock in the morning, and
Yeah.
I thought, okay, I'll call my midwife at 7. I know that that's when like the birth centre sort of thing is all sort of going, and I was like, don't want to call them any earlier, I'm fine. Call them at 7 and they're like, okay, like you seem to be fine, you're breathing through them, talking through them, and then like it just sort of got progressively worse, and like I got quite sick actually with the contraction. So I was like vomiting, which I knew could happen because my friend had that happen to her, and I actually had like little bags just in case.
Good on you.
So that worked really well.
Because you're so prepared.
I was so prepared. That's not me.
I love it. I love it.
So yeah, I felt like I could get through it, but it was like different to what I don't know.
The vomiting's always a bit of a letdown, isn't it?
And I think
That kills
like,
me
I
a
think
bit.
you have an idea of like what's a contraction gonna feel like,
Yeah.
but you've got no idea.
No idea.
I was like, is it gonna be like a period pain? And it wasn't. I just
No.
did not get that like period pain crampingness. Like it was just like a weird experience. Like at that stage, it just felt really heavy.
Yes. So if you could explain contractions, how would you explain it?
Well, I felt it a lot in my back, which was and I don't think Bobby was posterior. And
No, I don't think so either.
No, so I wasn't expecting that. So I didn't really get that like in the front. I got it really down in like my lower back.
Wow.
And that was just like really achy. And
Yeah.
I just remember it was like really short. Like it would only last for like 40 seconds.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay. And then I was like, oh God. And then you'd come out of it. It was just like I knew that it wasn't going to last forever. So I could just get through it. So I called back my midwives. My midwife called me back and she was like, okay, go into the shower. And I was like, yeah, great. But at that time we were renovating. We didn't have a shower or a bathroom.
Oh no!
So we had a porta shower at the front of our house in the cul-de-sac where everyone was. I was like, this is really great. So I'm walking out there with my towel on, and my husband's like, you know, coming after me. But it was actually like a really good porta. Like the pressure was so good, and there was like a little hook at the top you hang your towel on. And so I had my towel, and I would just like hang.
Wow.
And it was the best thing. I just loved that like bending into each contraction. Like
How deep are we talking?
like a not like down onto my like
Not fully bent, like this.
more just like a really good squat.
Yes.
And but if I could stretch my back out, I think that really helped. And so that was really great. And then I was sort of like, I feel like I need a push. Like I feel that real heaviness, and I was like, we're going to the hospital. Like it's fine. If they send us away, they'll send us away. I just don't want to be like stuck in the car. And then we got into the car, and I remember being like, okay, everyone talks about this being really hard because you go from like your dark room and then in the car, and you're in traffic and you're sitting. And I really did not want to be sitting having these contractions. So we got there as quick as we could. I just sort of put my headphones on and I just listened. It was
That's what you did, headphones in.
Yeah.
What sort of stuff are you listening to?
well, we had a playlist.
Yeah.
But I also did a calm birth workshop.
Yeah.
And they gave us some like breathing meditation type of things. So I just like we're listening to that.
Great
and
idea.
we listened to that throughout the pregnancy, probably in the later stages, and just did some of that together, which was really nice at night. We'd fall asleep often too. So I don't know how much, but you know,
Subliminally.
So we got to the hospital and like we parked at the main park area, and like I don't know the SCUH, but you walk across a bridge, right, to get there. And I could not get across this bridge. I mean, it was coming so quick at that point, and I was like, I don't even care like what people think of me right now. I was holding onto the poles like in my deep squat, and I was mooing because when we did your class, I know we talked about like the vowel sounds. And we practiced all the different sounds, and the O sound was just like the most. Like that one just worked for me.
Oh,
so
what a queen.
here I am like swaying and going moo, like the whole time, like so embarrassing. But you don't really think about it at the time. And people were so lovely. I'm like, are you right? Like, do you need? And I was like, nope, I'm gonna get there. I was so adamant that I was gonna walk up to the room.
I do not sit in a wheelchair.
No, I'm not sitting in that wheelchair. But I couldn't make it up there. I think I got through the doors.
10 points for trying.
And this lovely nurse like found me and put me in a wheelchair and took me up a secret elevator and got me up there, which was so lucky because I was like, I would not have made it up there.
Yes.
And at that point I'm thinking, oh my god, I'm gonna push this baby out right now. Like it just felt, I don't know, it was weird. Like I didn't feel like I couldn't make it through. Like it was very manageable. Yeah. But I was like, this is intense. Like really intense. So
did you have many thoughts through that time, or were you quite like, I guess, in your labour brain, or how did you feel?
I think I remember talking to you about this afterwards, and I was like, as much as you're like in the labour brain, I would still think about like, okay, well, what did I learn in my class?
I remember you saying that.
Now, breath work, okay, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
Like so.
I'm gonna do this with my legs.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
gonna not like keep my knees in, like all this stuff, and I was like, yeah, I'm definitely not one of those women that just like internal primal, like straight, you know, like you do, but
but you still somewhat. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's great because there's no right or wrong way. Like you were still very much allowing your intuition and your hormones in and all that.
But I was
stuff.
still very aware as well. Yeah. So then I got up to our room and I brought like all my little candles and everything. So that was all set up. And they made it beautiful fairy lights on. So it was very much. I was lucky because it was sort of like the birth center, and so it felt very much like a home environment, which was really lovely. And my midwife was like, okay, do you want like a vaginal examination to see how far along? And I remember always being like, you don't have to have one of those. Like,
love that.
But I really wanted one. I really wanted to know, okay, like where am I at? And she was like, look, I won't tell you where you're at. We'll just say, like, we'll just check you, and I'll be like, okay, we're good. Like, keep going. But she's like, you're halfway. Oh, so I was like 5 centimeters. So I was like, okay, that doesn't like it didn't make me go, oh my gosh, I'm only 5 centimeters. Good. I was just like, that's good. Like I'm working through that. Yeah,
absolutely. Especially for a first time mama, that 5 centimeters is great.
And it sort of we just didn't get that time to just like. It wasn't like all day at home. Like I left for the hospital. We got to the hospital at 8:30, and I started at 5. So that was by 8:30.
Oh wow, fantastic.
Yeah. So. But we had to do, I remember doing the exam on the bed and I got a contraction and I remember that being the worst thing. Worst thing ever. And I remember being like, this is why it's not good to be lying down when you're having, going through labour because that pain, like I suppose because it was in my back that I really didn't like that. My mum was also there for the labour, which was really lovely. And at one point, I'm over the bed and doing, my squat, and she's just got like the right amount of pressure on my back. And I remember her just like, it was the perfect, like, sorry to my husband, but at one point he was like, it just couldn't quite get what I needed. And my mum just had the right touch, and I remember she was like, didn't want to get in the way of my husband, his job to support me. But I was like, nope, you stay. You're staying.
And then speak those words to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Tickle my head.
So I remember that. It was really lovely. And
beautiful.
Then, just like jump in the shower. I was like, great. Turn the shower like right up top. I had both shower heads on.
Perfect.
It was just so nice. But I just really wanted to like hang. And there's like the bar and you hang, but then there's like a what do you call it? Like a soap tray. And I just remember like it's just in my way. Like where's my like hook so I can hang my tail, my towel, and just like hang there.
So true.
Screw an update there.
Yes,
I should add some
I will make a suggestion. So
I was just like really deep, and like my husband was just like rubbing my back and like that my lower sacrum, and it was just really good. And then I think my midwife suggested like she put some like mats on the ground, so I like was on my knees. And my husband sat because he'd been standing there for like I don't even know, maybe an hour or two. And I just sort of like laid my head and rested in between contractions, and then it would just come and I would just bear down. But I remember my knees were like slipping off the mat, and it was just like I was like, this would work. I just need a bigger mat. Like I wasn't like fully obviously that kept slipping. I was like, oh, this is like uncomfortable.
Fair.
That my back was just aching like so much, and like I knew I wasn't going down the whole like gas, or I could have had that, but I just didn't want it because I knew I'd been sick already, and I'd heard that it can make you sick. So I was like, that's not really what I want.
Had the vomiting stopped by this point?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah,
great.
Yeah. So it was more just at home.
Yeah.
And then my midwife suggested the sterile water injections.
Yes.
I
Because you still had the back pain,
I
hey?
had really bad back pain. Like, it was just awful.
And you know what? The fact that your body was telling you to get in that squat because you got your wide knees, which is great for opening that inlet, but you're also in a squat, you know how you're rounding your spine, right?
Yeah.
So that's getting that sacral prominence right out of the way so bubs can just rotate around.
Yeah.
So it's so cool. Like, even though, as you said, you were still like in your logical mind, you were very much still listening to your intuition in that moment, which is epic.
Yeah.
So epic.
Crazy how the body just like, you just follow it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's like, let's do that. And I'd heard amazing things about the sterile water injections through podcasts, but I also knew that it was really painful.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, nah, just give it to me. I don't care. And they're like,
Good on
okay,
you.
so in your contraction, we're going to give you, you know, and I can't remember, is it like, I think it's 2. Or
Yeah,
they both
it's
have
like
2.
4, but we do 2 each. Yeah.
Yes. And I don't remember it being, I just remember it all at once.
Yes.
But it was the most painful thing.
Right.
It was crazy, and I had been so quiet. Like, I didn't think I was quiet, but everyone was like, we couldn't hear you. It was like you weren't even labouring in there. Like, but I was mooing. So it wasn't that pleasant. But I just like screamed out, like just the F word, just like at the top of my lungs. And my mum was FaceTiming my dad, not in the shower. I was. doesn't want to feed.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, we've already got enough enough going on. Like if we need to, we'll do it down the track. But let's just see what my diet does.
Absolutely.
And like now, after seeing the naturopath, I've been able to add everything back into my diet. So in 8 months, I'm back eating everything, and it's not reacting with her. And
Fantastic.
now we're going to add, obviously, those things into her diet.
Yes.
Dairy still haven't tried, but
for her, but you're still on
I'm
dairy.
on dairy, so it hasn't reacted with her gut. So I just so thankful that for her it wasn't like a true cow's milk allergy.
Yes.
Or an allergy. Like some babies are it goes on for a couple of years, and I just for mums.
Yeah.
And children.
But a lot of the time, people think that they do have allergies when it's not necessarily the case. It's just their gut microbiome is all mucked up and they're sensitive to lots of things.
That did not even cross my mind though.
Fair.
Until I heard about this naturopath, and she was like, her gut lining's inflamed, so of course she's going to have blood in her stool.
Wow.
And it could be anything that's triggering it.
Yes.
But I was looking for specific things that were triggering it.
Yes.
But it's just anything and everything.
Yes, yes. So you did that elimination diet.
Yes.
And then you went to the naturopath. What did she do? Did she give you drops or herbs or something?
Yeah, we did herb drops, which were great.
For you and for Bubs?
No, just for Bub.
Cool.
No, I didn't have anything, I don't think. No, just stuff for my supply, because she was feeding so radically that I was worried about my supply dropping.
Yeah.
No, so for Bub, and then we had went on it's called enterocare or something. And it's just you put it in there, we aimed for milk or water syringe, and I mean within a month, it had improved dramatically. So I went from not being able to have almond milk, to having almond milk again.
Wow.
Because I was on rice milk for my coffee.
Cringe.
Disgusting.
Cringe. Do cafes even have rice milk?
No, I couldn't have anything out. And all I wanted
this.
as a mum was to go out and have a coffee out.
Yes.
And take her for a walk, but it was just another thing that we couldn't do.
I even remember you coming to Pilates and you could at that stage have your coffee, but even the freckle on top you gave away. I was like, wow, that is willpower.
And chocolate is my thing, so
that
was a lot. Now I all the freckles I want.
Double freckles on coffee.
Yeah, so that really, the naturopath was amazing. And they do this, where they heel-prick test.
Yes,
And you see the live bloods.
Wow.
And so Bobby's, cells were, joined.
Right.
And, all over the top of each other, which shows inflammation. And then a month later, it had all started to spread out. And, it just was incredible.
It's incredible. So does she put that under, a microscope in her office?
And then you see it on the screen.
Does she do adults?
Yes. Yep. So I've just been myself. It's called Lalita Natural Health.
Sorry,
Lalita.
Lalita.
Yeah. And,
we'll tag her.
Talita, she's on Instagram as the baby naturopath.
Okay.
Amazing.
Because I feel like so many people go through this stuff. I hear so many of my mamas talk about, and colic's one thing. I think that's normal. We don't want to over dramatize normal baby behavior, but then the bloody stools, the mucousy stools, when it goes on for months, we can do things about it.
And that's right. And I think reflux and all that, we know that babies spit up. Yeah. But when it's constant. Yeah. It's well, there's something going on. Yeah. And it could just be a bit of gut disturbance, and we can get onto it.
Absolutely.
And if I had known that earlier, I would have gone earlier, much earlier.
Yeah.
Sorted out a gut, but we got there in the end.
So glad you got there in the end.
Yeah.
And 8.5 months in, you're still breastfeeding.
Still breastfeeding around
the
the
clock.
clock.
Whatever you want.
Yes, eating whatever I want. I'm still careful. I don't just have a glass of milk.
Yeah.
Just because I don't want to overdo it.
Totally. I don't even do that now, to be honest.
No, that's right. I like almond milk now, so I tend to just stick to that.
Yeah.
But still breastfeeding a lot.
Yes.
It's great now.
Yes.
It's a really enjoyable experience.
Oh, great. Yeah. Did that take long to get over the anxiety you were feeling? And I probably lots of mums report that dread of breastfeeding, that dread of their babe waking back up and wanting a feed.
No.
It didn't take long?
No.
Awesome.
I think once I came to realise that that's her normal.
Yes.
I was like, this is fine. She'll feed for 5 or 10 minutes and then she'll go to sleep. Fab. It was never now it's not an issue. Although sometimes it still creeps in that whole she seems fussy.
Yes.
Oh no. And then the next day she's back to normal and I'm like, it's okay.
Yes.
She is okay.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's
You're so right.
journey of it.
That's such a good point. Yeah, that constant worry that there's something wrong with them.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
So anything that's sort of out of the, not ordinary.
Yeah.
And I go, but then the next day it's fine.
Yeah. You know what I want you to comment on as well, actually, is what we spoke about over lunch before with how you'll do something for yourself for the babe, but not for ourselves as mamas.
Yeah, like we were talking about, like when I was pregnant, I could come. Oh no, hang on, I'm getting a sidetrack now. Yeah, so like I knew that I wanted a tight birth. I really wanted to get Bub into like the right position because she was like lying transverse, and I really knew I had to do work to get in there.
Yeah.
And so I went to Pilates all the time.
Yeah.
And then with her diet, I knew that it was what I was eating was directly affecting her because she wasn't eating anything. It was all breast milk.
Yeah.
And so I could change my diet instantly.
Yeah.
Whereas like
For her health.
for her.
Yeah.
Whereas now or beforehand, like I know that I eat a lot of chocolate. And I'm not going to stop doing that.
I'm not going to do it for my own health.
I know it's not good.
Yeah.
But I just don't have that same care for myself.
Yeah.
And like even trying to get to like Pilates and yoga now with a baby, it's not for her anymore.
Yeah.
It's for me, and like I find that hard.
Fair.
And I need like that constant like reminder to get to class and to do it for
that's
yourself.
where Amy comes
yes,
in with
yeah,
her
it's
weekly
really
text
good. Like,
messages.
yes, I'm going to do it. It's really easy to go,
Yeah.
this is not for her.
Yeah.
Like it's harder with her, right? Like
Yeah.
she's on the move, and
Totally.
so I don't feel like, but I feel so great after I do it.
Yeah.
I don't care as much for myself, which
I
is
know.
awful, but it's just the truth of it.
It is the truth. Yeah.
And so I'll do anything to make sure her life or her pregnancy and so forth. But
Which is, I just think, something good to realise, like, and whether it needs to change or not, who knows, like, that's everyone's choice, but it's just something good to know as a mama, like, yeah, we care for our babes a lot more than we do for ourselves, and that might be something we can all focus on a little bit more, is that self-love.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
doing things for ourselves.
yes.
Give babes away for a bit so you can go for your coffee with the girls alone, or whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
To put yourself first and look after yourself.
Yeah.
Especially in the side this is a different situation, but in the side of like postnatal depression and anxiety and all that sort of stuff that women go through, and like I see all this stuff pop up in the Facebook group, and I'm like, just give them to someone for a bit if you can, and take that time for yourself, because it's so important to have that self-care.
Oh, absolutely. I think I'm like lucky in the way that I've just got so many people around me to support me. So I've already got a lot of that.
Yeah.
It's just more like the health side.
Yeah.
Like I'm good at going, okay, I'm going to go and make an appointment, or I need to do that, but sometimes following through is just not my strong point. Like
Totally.
I know I need to take those supplements, but am I going to do it every day? Probably not.
No, but if it was my baby was inside me and that's why I need it,
Absolutely. Whereas I'm all like, this is great.
Totally.
And I'm like, oh God, I'll do that tomorrow.
Totally. I'm exactly the same.
Yeah,
It's so funny. How we do that. It's so funny. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for jumping on the podcast.
So lovely. Thank you for having me.
My absolute pleasure. I'm just going to see what these little notes are. Oh, peeps are watching. Sarah, Amy, Erin, so wonderful to have you. Hi. Thanks so much, Bianca.
Thank you.
Okay. See you soon, guys.